will be calling at Stratford International.
Well, hello, welcome. Part 2, filming locations. Well, not filming locations, just London locations with the Beatles. I'll try my best to get the final set of locations that I've marked off in this video, because I really don't want to do a part 3. I'll be here forever, keep coming back up to London. So the furthest location I need to go to is Richmond, because there's Twickenham out there and I've got to get something out at Twickenham. So we'll head there first, then back into the city and round about. So let's go here. I'm now in Ailsa Avenue. Now this was the recording or filming location for Help, where the 4 guys had a house each, a terraced house. And in the song, You've Got to Hide Your Love Away, you see a street scene where clangs come out of the drainage cover on his head. Hey, you've got to hide your love away. And just across the road you'd have had Dandy Nichols and Gretchen Franklin standing there, and they're going, go on, wave. Oh no, I don't like to. Go on, they expect it. So in Help you had Clang trying to chase the lads and coax them with gold. Hey Beatle, you shall have fun, eh? And Eleanor Bron, oh, the fabulous Eleanor Bron. You're not the Beatle with the ring, he. And I love the line with Leo McCartney, you know, Clang. Oh, they all look the same in their similitude and language. Excuse the impression of, you know, Eastern. It's what was in the film. Anyway, the first time the Beatles turn up in the film Help, they're dropped off to their terraced houses here in Ailsa Avenue, and it's 4, what you think is 4 separate houses. So Ringo goes into number 5, John goes into number 7, Paul goes into number 9, and George goes into number 11. So that's Ailsa Avenue, first location done. Ooh. All right, I'm going across the way, just across the other side of the river Thames, and there's a second location that I want to visit from Help. So let's go there. Scene location number 2 for the film Help. Not that there were other locations, but through this alleyway is the pub where they're being chased by the bagpipe band. Do you remember them? So they come down here, and as they come out of the alleyway, they look to the left and the right, and oh, a bagpipe band. And they kind of lurch towards the bagpipe band, and just around this location here, you've got them all, oh, let's join in. And then suddenly the sprays of red paint, and Patrick Cargill as the Scotland Yard man, he's like, after them men, after them. They do a double back on themselves, and they run into the pub behind me, now the City Barge, where Ringo famously says, 2 lagers of lime and 2 lagers of lime. They all look for their money, looks like me again. So yeah, the City Barge, just on the Thames here. Now, apparently just on the other side there, supposedly some scenes were shot, and I'm not sure if it was here or if it was down there, further down, but there were scenes shot for A Hard Day's Night. Already running out of time. It's taken me 2 hours just to be down here at Richmond. I've got to get back into the city to do the rest of the shoot. So let's commence here. This is Lyle Mews. Better if I do it this way. You know, atypical Mews in London, off the grid, little houses like this. Now in June 1964, the Beatles did a photo shoot for American Saturday Post, I think it was, magazine, and they were wearing the usual gear of businessmen in London, so top hat and stripy suits, Times newspaper. I'll put a little picture just on the right here. And at that photo shoot, Ringo contracted tonsillitis and pharyngitis, and he collapsed at the photo shoot, and they were just about to do their world tour. Really pleasant here, isn't it? Off the grid. They were just about to do their world tour, and they had to draft in a session drummer. Jimmy Nichols stood in for Ringo on that world tour, and Paul was like, yeah, he did really well, but he wasn't, it wasn't Ringo. Paul was saying, 1 minute he's famous and the next minute he's not. And Jimmy Nichols had said he was having a lunch break, having a lie down, and he got the call from Ian Mike, can you step in and do the drumming for me? It is 36, it's someone's house, I'm not going to stand there, but can I superimpose a picture? I don't know if I can. That's the difficult thing when you're trying to do a photo shoot that you think is inconspicuous, but you're actually in a private residential place and someone's looking out the house at you as you point to the camera. Anyway, the poignant thing with 36 was that after the world tour, Ringo got healed, he just got healthy again, and they came back and did a photo shoot here. So the previous month's photo shoot at, I think it was Twickenham, that they had taken the shots against the facade of a front door with their suits. They needed to obviously complete the photo shoot, so they came here and took the shots outside 36 Lyle Mews, and those images were never used. So just around the corner here, going to take you to a place that has some significance in the history of the Beatles, but also it's tinged with a bit of sadness. So let's go there. I'm now just coming off Belgrave Square. All the embassies, Germany, Norway, Spain, just saw them. Anyway, you come off Belgrave Square into, where are we? Chapel Street, and across the road is number 24. And in January 1965, Brian Epstein took the place. He lived here, and then in August 1967 he was found dead of barbiturate and alcohol overdose. So tragic. So just down here the Beatles would come out of a back entrance. I don't know, things have changed, maybe this garage door wasn't here, but they would come down here for meetings with Brian at their local, I believe just round the corner will be a pub. Everyone likes a pub, right? Except for me. More Mews. Yes, look, the Horse and Groom. I think I'm a little early for this because it's not open, but I have seen pictures that inside they've got lots of Beatles memorabilia and photographs on the wall, that kind of thing. So yeah, the Horse and Groom, just around the corner from Chapel Street. I do love these muses. I think I could muse at a muse. That's M-U-S-E, at an M-E-W-S. Muse at a muse. So Chapel Street, number 24, here it is, where Brian lived and sadly died. It was quite well known for hosting parties, and I think the Sgt. Pepper's album release party was held here. Oh, tragic. People, you just don't know what's going on in people's lives. Now we know that the whole thing with with Brian being homosexual and being attracted to John and being rejected by John, was that the reason? Was it just the fact that he couldn't handle society in that time, didn't really accept homosexuality? I think it was actually illegal. I'm not even going to research it, but so yeah, poor O'Brien. What would the Beatles have been if he'd have stayed alive? Would they have gone in a different direction? Speaking of different directions, let's go here. It's like Doctor Who. I've just come out of the TARDIS. Now for this location, it's a little like I'm doing a Help tour, all the filming locations for Help, but actually it's not. The building behind me represented Scotland Yard, and you had in the phone box Clang and his entourage with the tablas and the sitars, and they're going, "Go to the window, go to the window." Now up in the room of Scotland Yard was Patrick Cargill with the 4 boys, and they're like, "Oh, hang on, they know we're here." No, in fact, what does he go? "No one knows we're here." And George goes, "I know we're here." Anyway, Patrick Cargill, I really loved this actor. You might remember him from Father Dear Father. Put a little picture here. That 70s fast sitcom that he was involved in. Anyway, he decides he's going to impersonate Ringo. So he's like, I do a little bit of impersonation in my own way. James Cagney. Anyway, "Hello, it's famous Ringo here. What can I do for you, Gearfab?" And George Harrison fabulously goes, "Not a bit like Cagney." Anyway, Scotland Yard, telephone box, filming location for help. And so Patrick Cargill's playing the Scotland Yard detective, and Clang is, of course, played by Leo McCartney. And both of these actors were in the late 60s cult program called The Prisoner by Patrick McGowan, which was filmed up in Port Miriam. Little link up here of my filming locations for The Prisoner in Port Miriam. Anyway, both of them had the opportunity, and they played number 2 in that series. Hammer to Anvil was Patrick Cargill's, and then Arrival was it Arrival? The second one anyway. Both of them were really good as number 2s. Here's Leo McCartney, here's Patrick Cargill. Right, now we will go to another location. Now between 1965 and 1967, what is now Stephen Ongpin and Guy Papiet, this was the famous Indica Gallery, which was a bookshop at the top and the gallery downstairs. And it was it Peter Dunbar, John Dunbar, one of the Dunbars, and Peter Asher. They owned the bookstore and the gallery down here. Now this is where I was saying about, you know, if things had taken a different direction, because in 1966, was it the 9th of October, the night before the main exhibition by Yoko Ono was opened, they had a preview evening, and John came down here and he had a look around. He particularly liked the Apple exhibition. I wonder if that had a bearing on calling the company Apple in the end. And also the Ceiling Yes sculpture, which was a stepladder which John had to climb up and look through a spyglass, tiny little word yes, which he thought was very positive. Now this is the thing, because Paul McCartney was involved with the setting up of the gallery and with Peter Asher, he invited John to come along and take in the exhibition. And of course, he met Yoko Ono. So I'm thinking to myself, because of Paul's involvement, he wants to try and encourage the gallery to flourish, and so he will get his friend John to come along. Maybe John will buy something. Had he not encouraged John to come here, John might, well, he certainly wouldn't have met Yoko Ono on that night. It's a funny thing, isn't it, destiny? Because if they were destined to be together, they might have met somewhere else, because this place wasn't available on the 9th of October. Does that make sense? So if you're going to meet John, if John and Yoko are going to meet, they're going to meet, it's regardless of where they meet. However, Paul encouraged John to come here on the 9th of October, and he met Yoko Ono. So yeah, Mason's Yard. Fabulous. The Indica Gallery. Right, let's go here. The moment you've all been waiting for. 3 Savile Row, home of Apple music. Now the Beatles took this, when did they take it? 1968, 3 Savile Row, and they were here for about 18 months. And each of them had their own office up here. And I think it was here that John and Yoko did their peace campaigns with Bag Productions. which is mentioned in a song, isn't it? And of course at the very top there, you'd have had a lot of noise coming down. And actually when you look around here, Burlington Gardens down here, because obviously the band were playing up there and there's footage coming down around and about here, and you see all the people milling around. Amazing getting it from this angle. And the other thing is, my perception of how the guys stood when they were performing has always been that they were facing in that direction. Took my finger out the camera range. But actually they were facing this direction, and this building here was purported to have been a Barclays bank, and it was a disgruntled employee facing in one of the windows facing the music that called the police. So yeah, 3 Savile Row, Abercrombie and Fitch. Well, the name is still on the door, but I don't know if they're still using it. Now there's, I think the Beatles let it go in 1976 because it had become quite decrepit and kind of squalid. They had a studio down here, going back to the point of Apple using it. So some of Let It Be was recorded here after they left Twickenham Studios. But it was actually getting into a state of disrepair. And there's an album, back of an album cover by Ringo, 1976, Rotogravure or something like that. I'm not really hot on Ringo's albums. But the back sleeve of the album, which I'll give you a picture of here, I'm moving out of the way. It's got all the graffiti and do not enter, can't come in the door. Interesting, I tell you what, I can smell the money around here. I just walked through Burlington Parade and it's like, oh, would you like a lobster sandwich for $39.99? Okay, thank you. That's where the money lives. One last shot of that, 3 Savile Row. Right, everything is walking distance now, so let's go here. Now you have to remember that in the UK, variety shows have been a big thing. Just forever, opportunity knocks. Saturday night at the Palladium, Sunday night at the Palladium, right through to Britain's Got Talent, Pop Idol. It's just all about, let's entertain the people. Well, here, on the 13th of October, is where Beatlemania began. The Beatles performed Val Parnell's Sunday night at the Palladium, and the next day the newspapers were just filled with how enthusiastic, for want of a better word, all the fans were, and they coined the phrase Beatlemania. So it happened here, 13th of October. Now there is a guy, Andy Lothian, he was a promoter in Dundee, was it Dundee? And on the 7th of October, the Beatles had played up there, Aberdeen or Dundee, comment below. And he said he coined the phrase Beatlemania. I don't think anyone could take credit for it, it just is what it is. So yes, Val Parnell's Sunday night at the London Palladium. It's a funny thing because I want to get into acting. I kind of like, you know, doing all of this kind of stuff, but the thought of standing in front of thousands of people just performing, you know, kudos to those who can do that. Ed Sheeran? I say Sheeran, I don't even follow the guy. You know, stand up there with his acoustic guitar, ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding, and sing some songs. So yeah, the London Palladium. So let's now go here. Would you look at this business? Even in the daytime it looks amazing, doesn't it? Piccadilly Circus. Gosh, imagine this in the 60s. Here's some footage. The swinging 60s, where it all came to life. Anyway, there's a couple of locations just down here. I want to end up down there, but I'm going up Shaftesbury Avenue. So I want to pop into Rupert Street and Rupert Court. And I think one of the first publicity shots of the Beatles was taken. Let's have a look, just up here. Everything's all about musicals. I just can't get my head around musicals. they do not do it for me. Let's just break out in song. Oh la la la. We all have music in our lives, right? But yeah, just not going to spend my money going to a musical. Hey ho. Maybe that's why I'm really not in the industry. But if we cross the road, this is Rupert Street. Now, just up on, I was hopefully going to show you Sound City, but I actually can't be bothered now. Because this is Rupert Court. Now, looking at it from this angle, doesn't look the same, but there is one image. God, this still kind of looks, can't work out if it would have been from this angle. There's a Coca-Cola sign, or is it that way? I think that's the direction, isn't it? Seems like a lot of renovation going on here. But yeah, if you kind of look down the alley that way, and you'd have had the Four Chaps. So yeah, Rupert Court. Now we just turned left coming out of Rupert Court, straight down here, where, oh what, a musical is going on. Look at these furry chairs. That'll keep your backside warm, won't it? That is the Prince of Wales Theatre. Do you know what happened there? Yep, that very famous John quote. I'd like to ask for your help now. For those of you in the cheaper seats, if you could clap your hands, and the rest of you, if you could rattle your jewellery. Come on. I'm trying to get my camera to go up. I'll have to budge it by hand. Fabulous. It's all happening. Shaftesbury Avenue. Piccadilly Circus. So I just did a little circuit there, just to come back to the Prince of Wales Theatre. And that is where John said his thing. Oh, it's all amazing, isn't it? Don't you love London? Don't you love the Beatles, London? Feel free, give the video a like and subscribe. Follow my adventures, whether it's Beatlesque or anything else. Because I put up videos about all sorts of things. Although I'm getting the Beatle vibe lately, kind of eating and breathing and sleeping it. Perhaps that's not too healthy. Right, let's go here. We are in the district of Mayfair. Park Lane behind me. That's like the second most expensive property on the Monopoly board, isn't it? Green Street. Now in 1963, Brian Epstein realised that the lads spent more time in London than they did anywhere else. And he took an apartment for them here on Green Street, number 57. So odds are on that side. Chances are it's just down here. And it was here that we get the four lads living together for the first time. Can you imagine how chaotic that would have been? Oops, I'm hungry. I'm walking and walking. Can't believe I've done 11,000 steps already. My feet are a bit hurty. Right, so 44. Let's have a look here. It's a blue plaque up there on the wall for Thomas Sopwith, aviator and aircraft manufacturer. So I'm actually expecting to see quite a few blue plaques, because I know that Thomas Sopwith lived here, but also Ian Fleming, the author of Bond. He was born on this street. Right, can I see 57 yet? Yes, there it is. 57 Green Street. I think they took the flat at the top. And there is a very famous photograph of them with the banister. I'm going to put a picture of them leaning over the banister. But there's actually also several photographs of them using the apartment, and they stayed here until John and Cynthia moved out. When did John get married? I haven't even looked that up. Was that like 64? He was certainly married by 65. I think Julian Lennon, is he a couple of years younger than me? Was he born 64? I'm born 63. 63, the year the Beatles hit the big time, was the year that I was born. So there, that's my claim to fame. Oh dear. Right, let's go here. Some of the famous residents of Shaftesbury, of Soho, including Mozart and some others, so if you can name them. I thought, what better way to conclude today's video? I've really enjoyed walking around London and spying out these little locations. But I thought, what a fitting way to end, where the 60s came to life, and it's here in Carnaby Street, which still has a kind of vibe of the 60s about it, you know, in terms of some of the buildings coloured and things like that. I'll try and capture the essence and the fashion of it all. So with that, I will say, if you haven't seen my London Walkabout Part 1, link up here. You can see the first part of this episode if you've kind of come here and seen Part 2 first. Because that's what happens. Part 2 happens sometimes, doesn't it? So what I'll say is thanks for watching, bearing with. Feel free to give the video a like and subscribe. And in fact, if you click this little icon here, you get to subscribe to my channel. Because what I'm thinking is, what's next in terms of the Beatles? Well, it can only be Liverpool, right? So click the link, and when I get the video done for Liverpool, you will get a notification. Bye for now.